that Kevin McCullough.
With us, I am so honored to call my guest, Katie McFarland, a friend, but I am so honored that she gives her time to help us understand these things even in greater finite detail. KT, on, I don't know, Tuesday or Wednesday morning of this last week, I was listening to some local talk radio in the New York area, and I heard something I had not heard before. And that was that Ryan Zinke, a congressman from Montana, was on a show speaking about the cooperation of Russia, China, and Iran in the fact that they have now exchanged technologies, that they have now visited and exchanged and collaborated on a series of tactics, and that they have even entered into training exercises together as three nations that are kind of equally bent on bringing down the West. I don't know if anybody else in the country heard that interview, but that was new information to me on the level that it was being said. And that sounds an awful lot like an axis of evil from the World War II era. Where are we at with the global divide? And you see a lot of stuff written on social media about Joe Biden dragging us closer and closer to World War III. But when I hear Iran, China, and Russia doing joint military exercises, it starts to kind of sink into me.
Oh, it should. You know, I mean, the difference is that in the Cold War, the United States had the dominant economy, so we were able to bankrupt the Soviet Union with our technology and with our financial clout. In World War II, you may have had the United States fighting and the Allies fighting an axis of evil of Italy, Germany, and Japan, but you didn't have Japan sharing training exercises with these guys. It's just we really fought two front wars, not three bad guys arrayed against us. And so the new axis of evil is very real, and it has every intention of destroying the West, the Western democracy, the world order. They want to be in charge. They're thugs. They're bullies. They're Hitler all over again. But how do you defeat them? In a lot of ways, it's right within our grasp. That's what's so frustrating is we could do it. And I believe sincerely that the energy weapon that we hold and the technology weapon that we hold, we have enough energy, oil and natural gas, to power the world, especially with natural gas, cleanly, safely, securely, and cheaply for hundreds of years, but President Biden won't let us use it. If we were to do that, if we were to implore, if we were even just take the handcuffs off the American energy industry, what do? They produce more than enough for us to be energy independent, and they produce enough to be energy dominant. So the United States, think about it, we become the new Middle East. We become the new energy source of the world. What does that manage to do to that axis of evil, the axis of evil? It bankrupts Russia because they need high oil prices and oil exports to fund all of their nefarious activities, including the war in Ukraine. It bankrupts Iran, which needs the oil revenues to pay for its wars in the Middle East and terrorism. And it puts China in a very different position. China is one of the most energy needy countries in the world. They have to import energy. They're importing it now from Iran, other places. But what happens if the United States is the world dominant energy supplier? That gives the United States enormous political and economic and every other kind of leverage on China. So the way you deal with the new axis of evil, which is intent on our destruction, is you beat them at the economic and technology game.
Well, I only hope that that's possible, KT. I mean, we've talked about a lot about this window of time that we're in. If these guys decide to take action before November, before January, before Trump can even get back to office, what do we do?
Well, let's just pray to God that doesn't happen. But I do believe that we're entering a window of opportunity for the bad guys. And they know that it's a narrowing window. And if they look at Donald Trump, who they've had to deal with him before, they know he's one mean, tough guy. And they know that what he's going to do is use the energy weapon, as I've described. They also know they've dealt with Joe Biden and they pushed him around for 3 years and they want to continue to push him around. So they're going to look at this narrowing window of opportunity and maybe they decide, oh, how better now than never? Maybe we won't have a chance. Maybe they don't. It doesn't matter because we have to behave the same way, whether they decide to go or not. We've got the president we've got, and we're going to have him until he's replaced by a new and much better and much stronger and more America first president. And so I think the United States just does what we do best, which is to try to have a democracy that's a thriving, functioning democracy. That's why what you're doing, Kevin, I mean, you're on the front lines. You and every other person who's got the courage to step up in the national public debate and give the truth. Because, mainstream media isn't doing that. The Democrat Party isn't doing that. A lot of the leaders of the Democrats, they're not doing it. Joe Biden certainly isn't doing that. And so it's incumbent upon you, as you and people like you, to have the courage to stand up.
KT McFarland, as always, thank you for your insights.
Stick around for more of That Kevin. Next, That Kevin Show with Kevin McCullough.